Alright, kaiju fans, I finally got my Neca Mothra 2019 from the upcoming film, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Right here I got the box, so we're going to briefly go over this. It's very similar to the Godzilla one that I reviewed about a week or so ago, and just a couple different things. So first you'll notice this image of Mothra. This looks to be early concept art of Mothra. This isn't what she actually looks like in the film, but it is still a pretty cool concept where she's a little bit darker and a little bit more wasp-like. So up here in the corner you have the monarch symbol. Moving over to this side of the box here, we have a couple different stats. So right here it tells us that it includes the display base with the support rod. It has articulated wings, and the wingspan measures 12.5 inches wide, which is pretty impressive given how small the actual figure is. Another Godzilla King of the Monsters logo there, and the Godzilla 65th anniversary there with the Shin Godzilla. So the top, same thing. Don't put Mothra in your mouth. An image of Godzilla here. Godzilla King of the Monsters. We have the Neca logo here, which I'm not going to forget this time. Monsterverse logo. Mothra. Pretty standard stuff. Here, really nothing new. The 65th anniversary. Godzilla King of the Monsters. A little bio about Mothra. You can pause and read that if you can see it. And an image of Mothra right here. Now, this is actually where my box was damaged just a little bit and must have been somewhere in shipping, but it's not that big of a deal. On the bottom, barcode, made in China, real toys, Neca logo. Now, onto the back of the box, you have an image of the actual figure itself. Collect them all. You got the image of Rodan, Mothra here, and Godzilla, and I don't think on this one they're going to put the Godzilla version 2 quite yet. But you also have the Toho logo way down here in the corner. And now for some fun stuff, you have another image of Mothra on her full display case right there. You got the base and the flight stand and Mothra herself. And as you can see, I already took Mothra out of this, so you got the clamshell in here. There's no sort of literature or anything that comes with it. I did have something from Neca in the box, but it was outside of the box. I think it was just like a shipping code or something. And there's no room, if you notice, for the larva. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Overall, pretty cool box. Very similar to the Godzilla one. As I've said before, I'm not the biggest fan of these types of boxes. I wish they'd put a little bit more effort into it, maybe a little bit more minimalism and not so much like metal around the edges and stuff like that. I really like how SH Monster Arts does it, and that can't even be like a price thing because I feel like it's cheaper to make something more minimal. So I wish it'd kind of go in that direction, but still not a bad box, and I do quite enjoy the flap that you get here. And I wish they would have gone with an image from Mothra from the film. But other than that, those are my only complaints about the box. I do think it is very informative. And let's get on to the figure now. Articulation time. All right, guys, so on to articulation here. We have not too many points. It's definitely different than a Godzilla figure or a different type of kaiju figure. So to start with the main points here, we have this wing. So the two main wings. These wings also come down, but notice I have Mothra on the stand, so it's not going to come down too much. But these wings also articulate. Mine are a little curved, and I haven't seen anyone else's figures curved, but I got to say I actually personally like that. Now, another thing we have going on here is, so I'll put these wings up so you can see. We have articulation in her claws, so her front claws here. There's some articulation. Also in this one. These two little ones, if you notice right in here, if you can see that, they don't have articulation. They're just kind of a soft enough rubber so that they can actually move on their own. They're not going to actually rotate or anything on a ball joint. So this leg here, if you can see, my joints are actually a little bit stiff, and I'm worried about heating this figure up because I don't want the wings to become loose. I've seen everybody's right wing, stage left for you guys, be a little bit loose, and mine actually is as well. So I'm afraid to heat this figure up. But yeah, so there you have it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points of articulation on Mothra. Now, to get this out of the way, Mothra is small. Everybody's saying that, and it is true. If you see her in comparison with my thumb, I'm a pretty average-sized guy, 6 foot, normal-sized hands, and Mothra's body is about the length of my thumb. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that Mothra is going to be small in the films. Obviously, I don't think this is to scale. I'll show you what she looks like compared to the Neca Godzilla 2019. But she's going to be a smaller kaiju, and I'm totally cool with that. Her wingspan is a little greater than 12 inches from tip to tip, about 12 and a half. And also, moving on to detail and paint, her wings are translucent. So let me show you this. If you notice, you can see right through there. That's a very cool effect. And if you have any sort of display with lights, especially backlit, that's going to be an awesome effect from Mothra here. So moving on to color here, her wings are yellow, orange, and black. A little bit of grays in there as well. I don't seem to have any paint issues. She looks nice. She turns out nice, and especially with that backlit display potential, that's going to be great. Now her body is kind of this tan and black color, so the black on the tip of her claws there, and her body is tan. Now one thing I've noticed on the sculpt, there isn't any separation from her antennae. The little fuzzy antennae that she has are actually just sculpted right onto her body, so there's no protruding antenna, which I think is fine. That'd be very difficult, especially on a figure this small. I would like to see that in the future, but I don't even think SH Monster Arts is going to be having that. And back to paint application. So her eyes are this like cool metallic blue that they look like in the film. I wish they would have gone into a little bit more detail with her paint application on her face, but I understand it's very small. I just always see Mothra's face as white, having like that kind of white, fluffy, little cute aspect to her, even though she can, take down buildings and tear up some kaiju with her claws and everything, and, spit all sorts of stuff all over them. She's dangerous, but she's beautiful, and I would have liked to see a little bit more attention to detail in the fuzziness of her face. But I will say, if you look right here, and if you pay close attention to the wings, there is a texture on it that makes it look like it's furry. So while you don't get any actual fur or the color of it properly, you do get hints that they are paying attention to the fact that Mothra is a furry kaiju, which I think is a good point of detail that they've done on her new design. I personally like Mothra's new design. I can definitely see why some people might not, because it's not very original, but be honest, would you really want the fat, round, short-legged Mothra flying around? I just don't think it would fit in the monsterverse. So this more aggressive style looks very nice. Plus, I am absolutely in love with the shape of her wings. That looks so cool. I'm going to have her on my display like that, and I like how she's got these little separate wings there too. So overall, the sculpt looks great. There's some detail on her arms there. The antenna, you can see them, but they're not protruding. And her wings, that kind of fuzzy detail they got on there, not to mention the great paint application and the translucence of it. You can kind of see it there. You can see my fingers coming through. I would say that for $25, this is a very nice figure. Now, that's just the figure. So if you notice this little stand that I have Mothra on here, this actually plugs into the base. So I'll grab that for you guys. The base is very nice for this. So it's got this cool, by the way, it's light. It's very light. And it's got this cool like neon metallic blue and metallic green coming out of the cocoon, or the chrysalis? No, I think moths have cocoons. And I'll fact check that later. And, the silver for the metal, whatever this base is. I will say the base part actually looks kind of generic, but, you don't got to really make a base for a giant cocoon too fancy. I'm imagining that's what it looks like in the film. But the cocoon is where it really shines. So there's plenty of detail. I'm actually noticing in this light, there's a hint of gold. So it's like this metallic green gold you can see there, and this really cool metallic like neon baby blue. Really, really nice effect. I love this base, and I think Mothra looks really cool coming out of it. Which you can have Mothra coming out of it like this, like she's flying above it, or you can have Mothra kind of sticking out of it like this, like she's just crawling out of it. Either way, I think it looks fantastic. Overall, articulation, a little bit to be desired. There's really nothing too crazy about it. I wish the wings were a little bit more stiff, but I think overall they've done a decent job with the size that they're working with and with the overall design of the creature. The paint application is fantastic. I really like the color they chose. I know in the trailer we see Mothra as blue sometimes, but we also see her as this reddish color. And I've also, I think in some of the teasers, I'm trying to avoid them, but she's kind of got a little bit of mix of both. So I'm guessing that's depending upon her mood. But I like this color scheme that they went with. It really pops on my display, and the translucent wings, you can't beat it. Plus the little, I dropped her, we're good. Plus the little furry texture that they added to it. Now, I will say that there was an image of the larva that they said that they were going to release with it. And I mean, this larva was in promotional pictures and at cons and toy fairs for, oh geez, maybe 7 months. And it wasn't until about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that they announced that there isn't going to be a larva. I am personally a little bit disappointed because one of my favorite films of all time is the 1964 Godzilla vs. Mothra, in which case Mothra does sacrifice her life, and her two larvae that hatch out of that egg go on and just completely tie up Godzilla and make him run away. So I would have really liked to have had larvae, especially the larvae that we're going to see in the new film. A little bit disappointing, but we are getting a great figure for a decent price. I would say I wish this figure was maybe $20 for a small figure, but great detail, translucent wings, great color, a cool base, and a flight stand so you can have her soaring above her cocoon. So overall, sculpt, articulation, paint application, what we're getting here is pretty good. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it is very nice. All right, guys, final thoughts here. I know the review has been pretty lengthy. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Overall, I'm going to give this Mothra figure from Neca an 8 out of 10. I really, really enjoy it. Like, me personally, I can get past certain things, but if I am reviewing it objectively, there are some things that are left to be desired, like the missing larva and maybe a little bit bigger of a figure. I know a lot of people are complaining about. Again, I'm okay with that kind of stuff, but as objectively as I can keep it, I think that those are going to be the main issues with it. Tighten up the joints a bit, and you got a near perfect figure. I really do enjoy this. It looks awesome on my display right now, and I highly recommend you pick this figure up. It'll be a great addition to your collection. I love this new design from Mothra, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. Price point, about $24.99. I wish it were a little bit less, especially for those lackluster aspects of it, but I think we can get past that. I got this figure off Amazon. I believe you can get it in some GameStops. You might have to call around, or you can go to some Targets. Again, I recommend calling around before you just go on a little adventure there like I've done in the past for other Neca figures. So guys, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Pick up this Neca Mothra figure. I love it, and I think you guys will too. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.